الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. أما بعد, جزاكم الله خير, my dear respect brothers and sisters. Inshallah, we're going to continue our series to talk about the fiqh of worshipping. Today, we're going to be talking about who is the imam, what is the criteria of being an imam, and we're still within the door of salah. Brothers and sisters, this is actually a critical issue that must be addressed when it comes to the issues of fiqh, as what is the description of the imam, who should be the imam, because these things sometimes have caused a lot of trouble within many masajid because of the lack of knowledge. And it's important for us as Muslims to understand these small details in order to avoid common issues that exist within the masjid. So, brothers and sisters, let's go forward with that with Allah. So, what is the criteria of the person who should be leading the prayer? Okay. Some scholars said the one who is, who knows more of the Quran. Some people says that the one who is more knowledgeable of Islam. Some people say that who is the one who is more elderly, and etc. But the most corrected opinion is al-aqra, as they say. Al-aqra is the one who is more knowledgeable with the Quran, or he memorized more of the Quran. Because there is a hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that was narrated by Ibn Mas'ud, and this is what he said. He said, يَأُمُّ الْقَوْمَ أَقْرَأُهُمْ لِكِتَابِ اللَّهِ. The one who leads the prayer, or the one who is more knowledgeable of the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَإِنْ كَانُوا فِي الْقِرَاءَةِ سَوَاء. If they were equal in knowledge of the Quran, فَأَعْلَمُهُمْ بِالسُّنَّةِ. Then the one who is more knowledgeable of the Sunnah. فإن كانوا في السنة سواء, and if they are equal in the knowledge of the Sunnah, فأقدمهم في الهجرة, those who have migrated earlier. فإن كانوا في الهجرة سواء, if they were equal in migration in Islam, فأقدمهم سنا, then the one who is more elderly, you know. And Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam continue, ولا يؤم الرجل في سلطانه, and the man should not read another man in his own property, or in his own authority. So, brothers and sisters, the question here, that what is the criteria? Pretty much the criteria is being laid down for us in this hadith. So the number one is al-aqra. What does it mean? Al-aqra is the one who is the one who memorized more of the Quran, and the one who is as the hadith says, لِيَؤُمَّ أَكْثَرَكُمْ قُرْآنًا, the one who knows more about the Quran, the one who memorized more of the Quran. That's the very first criteria. Then, if they are equal, then the one who is more knowledgeable about the Sunnah, who knows more about the Islam, who knows more Hadith, and etc. And if they're equal when it comes to that kind of knowledge, then the one who is al-aqdamu fil hijrah, the one who I guess older when it comes to migration. So I guess in this situation, how does that apply in our situation? Maybe the one who is longer being a Muslim, and if they're equal, then the one who is then if they're equal, then the one who is more old than the other one. So there is a lot of questions that comes in when after we read the hadith. So maybe the very first question, does it mean the one أقرأهم لكتاب الله, the one who is more knowledgeable of the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, أحفظهم أو أفقههم, is the one who knowledgeable more about the Quran, or who memorizes more of the Quran? It means the one who able to recite the Quran better with its rulings, and the one who is who recited more correctly, and the one who memorized it more. So that's what it means, the one who is more aqra. What about, and this is a common situation, what about if إذا كان الأقرأ جاهلا بأحكام الصلاة? What about if the one who is more knowledgeable about the Quran, he does not know the rulings when it comes to prayer? Like he knows the Quran, but he does not know the ruling of the prayer. So, and it's a condition for the person who recite the Quran better, he should be able to know the rulings when it comes to the Salah. And that's pretty much a lot of times, brothers, this is very common that a lot of times, sometimes in some masajid, they would let a young boy or a young youth read the prayer, yet he does not know about the rulings of Salah. and that's incorrect. That's definitely incorrect. Another question: uh, what about if you have an imam of the salah, if you have an imam of a masjid, and when before this imam want to start the salah, he noticed that among his congregation there's one that who knows more of Quran than him. What should he do? So technically he have a choice. I mean, يعني it's Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, لا يؤم الرجل الرجل في سلطانه. That then the man should not lead another man in his own property, in his own under his own authority. Like for instance, if I came to visit my brother, then my brother should be leading his within his house. Okay. If I came to visit, if an imam visit another imam in his masjid, then the imam of that masjid should be leading the prayer, unless yani the other person invited him and etc. But the most correct opinion is the one who is known for him to be leading the prayer of that masjid. Then that's the person who should be leading the prayer. Okay. Another question: what about if you pick two and they're all equal in everything? What should you do? uh, I think the most correct opinion is for them to invite each other or reconcile among each other, or possibly they would I don't know, they would يعني um, uh, يقترع بينهم يعني they would pick randomly and see which one wins, you know. So it wouldn't cause a lot of trouble and hard feelings. I think it's more rightly that each one of them would invite the other person and push them to the member, so it would avoid the trouble. Okay. Um, the next question is that what is or who are the people more likely to be in the first row behind the imam? The most people that should be leading uh, in the first row behind the imam are the people of the knowledge. Prophet Muhammad said, يأني منكم أولو الأحلام والنهي ثم الذين يلونهم ثم الذين يلونهم. Prophet Muhammad said, let the people in front, people who are more knowledgeable, people who knows more about Islam, then the people who after them, then the people who after them. Why? Because the thing is, if the imam made a mistake, who's going to correct him most likely? It's going to be the front row. So the front row will be more knowledgeable, and they will be able to be easily for them to pick out a mistake that the imam have done, whether it was during recitation or whether it was during the salah, and they would correct the imam rightly. But what happens is sometimes is when you have people behind the imam who does not know the Quran, and the people who knows the Quran are like at the end of the masjid, and if the imam made a mistake, the people who are memorize the Quran, they're shouting at the imam because they cannot hear them. That's make a little bit of a chaos. Okay, so that's the idea behind all of this. Bismillah ta'ala. Okay, now is it allowed? هل يجوز للمرأة أن تؤم الرجل? Is it allowed for a woman to lead the prayer in front of a man? That's obviously it's not acceptable. Because why? Because it would lead to fitan, and this is not acceptable in Islam. Okay. هل يجوز أن يؤم الرجل مجموعة من النساء? Is it allowed for a man to lead a group of women? Yes, they're allowed because they're not it's not like one to one. Yeah, because if there is a lot of women, then there is no khalwa. There is no khalwa. And if fitna can be avoided, then yes, it's possible for a man to lead a group of women. Okay. Now the question here that some people would tend to ask is why a woman not allowed to lead the prayer of a man? Brothers and sisters, you have to understand that if a woman bend in front of a man, the man is not going to be most likely most men they're not going to concentrate in their prayer because they're going to be looking at other things, and that's human nature. No one can control that, and that's difference when it comes to women and men. Okay. هل يصح إمامة الصبي المميز؟ يعني is it allowed for a young boy or a young youth to lead the prayers? It's allowed as long as he knows the ruling of the prayer. As long as he is يعني متمكن, as long as he knows يعني what he's doing, then it's absolutely allowed. Now another common question: هل تصح إمامة المفترض للمتنفل والمتنفل للمفترض? Is it allowed for an imam who is um, praying fard, obligatory prayer? Imam is praying obligatory prayer, but the person behind him he's praying nafil, non-obligation. Is that allowed? Yes, it's allowed. How about the other way around? The imam is praying a nafil, and then the guy behind him is praying fard. It's allowed too. How is that possible? Like, let's say the prayer is over, people finish the prayer, and I got up to pray the sunnah. Okay, and now I'm praying what? Sunnah after the prayer. And then a man walked into the masjid. He saw me praying. He tapped me in my shoulder because he did not catch the first jama'ah. He wanted to pray jama'ah with me. So I would continue with my sunnah, and he's praying farad behind me. Do you guys understand? So that's possible. That's very, very much possible. Okay. Um, so yeah, so that's very possible, and sometimes it's allowed because Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like one time, a man came to prayer, and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told him, "Man yatasaddaqu ala hada falyusalli ma'ah." Who could give donate for him and pray with him? Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam referred to one praying with them as a form of donation, because now you are making him pray in jama'ah. So Prophet ﷺ told us that it's allowed. He's praying fard, but you're praying what? You're praying sunnah. Okay? So it's definitely allowed. Okay? Now, the next question. The imam, when he leads the prayer, the person behind him, if it was only one, where does he stand? In his right, or is he in his left? He would stand in his right if he was an imam, if he was a follower. Okay. Now the next question: is it allowed for a woman to lead a group of women? Yes, it's allowed. Where does she stand? Where does she stand? She stands in the middle of them. She stands in the middle of them, and this is something that was done by Aisha radiallahu anha and Salama, in which that she would not like him, she would be like ahead of the group. No, she will be right in the middle of them, and they will be beside her in both sides. Okay, so and that's absolutely allowed. Now, if a woman led the prayer of a group of women, does she can she raise her voice in a salah jahriya, and like in salah that where she could raise her voice, like Fajr, Maghrib, Isha? And can she pray quietly in non-jahri salah, like the Dhuhr and Asr? Yes, she can raise her voice, recite like out loud in the prayer that she's allowed to, but in other prayers, then she could pray in secret. Now, is it allowed for a woman and a man to pray together, who are a man, a woman, who are not related to each other? And he is foreign to him? No, it's not allowed, because Prophet Muhammad said, لا يخلو الرجل بامرأة فإن ثالثهما الشيطان. No man should be isolated with a woman, because the third person will be Satan. The third person which will be Satan. And Prophet Muhammad said, وإياكم والدخول على النساء. Beware of entering into the place where there is women, because it's going to be a fitna. So this is pretty much, brothers and sisters, some of the common ruling that exists when it comes to imama. Okay, and I hope that I have answered a lot of these questions. Is there any questions that is by the audience that they don't know nothing about, that I could help them with? Bismillah ta'ala. Any questions? خير إن شاء الله. جزاكم الله خير لحسن معكم. سبحانك وبحمدك نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين عملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر.